There are some moments in life when you get so angry that you just want to scream at the top of your lungs. And the story I'm about to tell you is one of those moments. A black woman named Karen was driving home from a shopping trip when she was surrounded by racist cops. In this situation, it seems like they were just trying to see how much they could get away with. But when her dog stepped forward, they knew they had been caught. You have to see what happened for yourself. It was all caught on video. On October 24th, 2021, Karen left the house. She got into her car and began driving. She went to a store close to her home, but she didn't spend long there. Soon she returned to her car and got ready to go home. She drove out of the parking lot and headed down the road. As she drove, she noticed a marked police car following her. She thought it strange, but continued driving. At first she thought the police officer simply wanted to check her license or registration. Those are common traffic stops. So she had no reason to think this cop would be any different. But after a few minutes, another cop car pulled up behind them. Then another, and then another. Before she knew it, she was being surrounded by 4 cop cars. At this point, she knew something was wrong, but she kept calm and carried on driving. After a while, 2 men came out of the cop cars. They approached her driver's side window and told her she needed to get out of her car. At this point, Karen was scared. Why were they surrounding her? Why were they telling her to get out of her car? Were they going to arrest her? But she wasn't going to go without a fight. She started filming them with her cell phone. The first cop said he was investigating a traffic violation, but wouldn't say what that was. He asked her to step out of her car so he could investigate. But she told him she wasn't getting out. Instead, she asked him why they had surrounded her. The cop responded by telling her to keep her voice down. But then things took an even stranger turn. The second cop walked around her car and opened up her door. This made Karen even more angry because they had just violated her civil rights. Now they were inside her car. And this is when things really started to get heated. The cops started asking her questions about where she was coming from and where she was going. She answered honestly, but they didn't believe her. Instead, they accused her of being involved in some kind of criminal activity. They claimed they had received an anonymous tip-off, but we don't know if that was true. Karen continued to film them because she knew they were out to get her. She didn't know what their game was, but she wanted to have evidence of their behavior. Maybe she could post it online and expose these racists. That's what she decided to do. Things took another strange turn when one of the cops looked under her seat and then told her to open the trunk. Karen refused. She didn't have anything to hide, but she didn't want to let him in her trunk. But he kept insisting, so she eventually gave in. Then something incredible happened. As Karen opened her trunk, 2 black dogs emerged. They were big and strong, and they started barking furiously. The cops were terrified. They knew they had made a huge mistake. These dogs looked vicious, and they weren't afraid to use their power. One of the cops fell to his knees and begged for mercy. The other ran and hid behind a police car. Karen knew she had one, but she didn't want to take things too far. She called the dogs back and told them everything was okay. At this point, the cops had had enough. They backed away slowly, and eventually they got into their cars and drove away. Karen didn't chase after them. She knew she had one. When the cops were gone, Karen petted her 2 dogs. They had done an incredible job. These brave animals had saved their owner from some evil people. If she hadn't had them with her, who knows what would have happened. But thanks to their bravery, she was safe. This story has a happy ending because the cops didn't hurt Karen. But that's not always the case. There are many other stories like this where black people are targeted by racist cops. Sometimes it ends in tragedy. In many cases, cops are able to get away with their behavior. They face no consequences for their actions. But sometimes, there is video footage. When that's the case, the whole world gets to see what really happened. And maybe, just maybe, we can hold these cops accountable. I'm not saying all cops are bad. There are many good cops out there, but there are also some bad ones. We need to make sure that these bad cops are held accountable. They need to face consequences for their actions. Otherwise, this behavior will continue. That's why I'm so thankful for people like Karen. She didn't put up with this nonsense. She stood up for herself and her dogs, and she won. Now let's take a look at some comments people made about this incident. One person wrote, "The fact that the dogs knew to come to the front of the car instead of running off or jumping in the car is what baffles me. Like they knew exactly what to do to protect their mama." Another person wrote, "The only reason they approached her car was because she was black. There is no other logical explanation as to why they would surround her vehicle like that. If she didn't have dogs, things could have turned out very differently. Good thing she had her fur babies with her, someone else wrote. They probably would have killed her if she didn't have those dogs. I'm so glad she was prepared and had her dogs with her. What a great mom, and her dogs are awesome. Thanks for watching this amazing story. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.